The flight attendant's voice sliced through the quiet hum of the plane. "Sir, you can't sit here. This seat is reserved for first-class passengers." Every head in the cabin turned toward the man sitting by the window. His clothes were simple, his boots worn from years of hard work, and beside him sat a little girl clutching a stuffed bear. The man's name was David Miller, a single father and janitor from Virginia. His daughter, Ma, was 6 years old, and this was their first time flying together. He had saved for months to surprise her with a trip to California to show her the ocean she had always dreamed of seeing. But now, all eyes were on him, and not in a kind way. "Sir, please move to economy," the flight attendant repeated, her tone sharp. "This section isn't for people with discounted tickets." David's face flushed. He didn't argue. Confrontation wasn't his nature anymore. Once, long ago, he was a man who commanded teams, faced impossible missions, and walked through fire without flinching. But now a broken bar. Now he was just a janitor trying to give his little girl a moment of happiness. He stood up quietly, his hand resting gently on Emma's shoulder. "It's okay, sweetheart," he whispered. "We'll sit in the back. It's still the same plane." But as he turned, Emma's small voice rang out in confusion. "Daddy, why are they being mean to us?" The cabin fell silent again. A few passengers shifted uncomfortably, but no one spoke up. Not one. As David and Emma started walking down the aisle, the sleeve of his shirt rolled up slightly, revealing something etched deep into his skin. A tattoo of a trident and anchor, faded but unmistakable, the symbol of the United States Navy SEALs. In the cockpit, the co-pilot glanced back through the open door and froze mid-sentence. "Captain, a broken bar." "Look at that man." The pilot, a seasoned officer named Captain Ryan Cole, turned. His eyes landed on the tattoo, and his expression changed instantly. He unbuckled his harness and strode into the cabin. The flight attendants moved aside, startled by the sudden authority in his movement. "Sir," he called out, voice steady but filled with something like awe. "Excuse me, broken bar, are you David Miller?" David stopped, his back still turned. "Used to be," he said softly. "Not anymore." The pilot's breath caught. "You served in SEAL Team 6, didn't you?" "Afghanistan, a broken bar, Operation Black Falcon." Now every passenger was watching in stunned silence. David slowly turned around, eyes narrowing. "How do you know that?" Captain Cole's voice cracked slightly. "Because you saved my life." The murmur through the plane was like a wave. The flight attendants froze in disbelief. Even Emma looked around, eyes wide, not fully understanding but feeling the shift in the air. Cole took a step closer. 12 years ago, our helicopter went down outside Kandahar. I was trapped under wreckage, bleeding out. You were the one who dragged me out. You carried me 2 miles to the evac point." David blinked. Memories he'd long buried flashing back, fire, dust, screaming, the endless night sky. He hadn't thought about that day in years. Cole's voice trembled now. "I never got to thank you. I searched for you afterward, but they said you'd left the service." "Sir, yeah, broken bar, I owe you my life." The flight attendant who had confronted David stood frozen, guilt flooding her face. Cole turned to her and said firmly, "This man sits wherever he wants, and so does his daughter." They led David and Emma back to their seats in first class. The passengers who had judged him moments ago now looked at him with quiet respect, as some even clapped softly, though David looked down, embarrassed. Emma tugged his sleeve. "Daddy, what's the SEAL?" He smiled faintly. "It means your dad used to be brave once." Captain Cole crouched beside her with a grin. "Your dad isn't just brave, sweetheart, he's a hero." Tears welled in David's eyes. For years he'd felt forgotten, discarded after his service, reduced to mopping floors at night and counting pennies to give his little girl a decent life. But in that moment, he realized something he had forgotten long ago. Honor doesn't fade, even when the uniform does. The rest of the flight was different. Passengers offered him their gratitude. The crew treated Emma like a princess, and when they landed, the pilot personally escorted them off the plane. Before they parted ways, Captain Cole pulled David aside. "Listen," he said quietly, "I run a veterans outreach program in D.C. We help former servicemen find stable jobs, housing, medical care. A broken bar, you shouldn't be cleaning floors, brother, not after what you've done." David hesitated, emotion tightening his chest. "I appreciate that, Captain, I've just been trying to keep things simple for Emma. Cole nodded. Then let me help make her life better. You've done enough alone. Weeks later, David found himself wearing a new uniform, not a janitor's jumpsuit, but a crisp blue polo embroidered with the logo of the program. He now worked as a logistics coordinator, helping other veterans reintegrate into civilian life. He still remembered that flight, not because of the humiliation, but because of what came after. And one night, as he tucked Emma into bed, she whispered, "Daddy, when I grow up, I want to be brave like you." He kissed her forehead and smiled. "You already are, baby girl."